I don't want to watch myself. Andrea. Hi y'all, this is Jace, she, they, and you found Jace Reads Romance, a community dedicated to empowering women about sex and sexuality through the reading of romance novels. It is time for another wrap up of what I read this week. This week is March 24th through 30th. I read 6 books. So get yourself ready, get your comfy sexy on. I'm in a really fluffy jacket. Grab your beverage of choice. And please remember that I spoil the shit out of these books. So if you're not sure you want to have things spoiled, please look in the caption for what books I read this week. I'll also be using my phone for notes and things that I share with you along the way. Now, the first book that I read is And They Were Roommates by Paige Powers. This was an arc that I read. It comes out at the end of May, and it is a YA queer romance, y'all. It's so freaking cute. There are a lot of YA moments in here, so if you are someone who gets easily annoyed by the angst of teenagers or the idiocy of teenagers, this might not be for you. Because it's YA, there's also no spice. If you're someone who looks for spice, and even YA has spice maybe off page, there is no spice in this book. Do not expect it. Charlie is our point of view character. When we meet Charlie, he is just about to start his first day at this new private school, St. Valentine. Let me get this out of the way. The school is problematic. It just is. It's a problematic school. It's an old institution. They have weird policies, things that you really have to suspend your disbelief for, because in an actual well-run school, this never would have happened. But it's the start of Charlie's time at this school. There's a boys' school and a girls' school, and Charlie is at the boys' school, which is amazing because Charlie is trans. He has transitioned. He actually got into the school for his freshman year, but was in the middle of transitioning and so deferred his enrollment. Luckily, a spot became available and he is now here as a sophomore. He's also on scholarship, which part of that problematicness that is this school, all scholarship kids have to be in the top 5 of their class by the end of the semester or they lose their scholarship. Problematic. And so you know where you are, every week the rankings in each class are posted, which I'm sure just gives all the warm and fuzzies between students. Problematic. So problematic. It's really not funny. Charlie is really excited to attend the school and expects that he's just gonna look at the ground, put his nose to the grindstone, and get through these 3 years so he can get into a really good school. He doesn't come from money, he doesn't come from affluence, and he's using his time and this opportunity at St. Valentine to really give himself chances for college, grad school, things of that nature. He also is very, very self-conscious about the fact that he is trans, stepping into the world as his true self. How does he act? Will people be able to tell? He has a lot of things that he's worried about. Because of this concern, he applied for and paid for, he believes, a single room at the school. And when he arrives, suddenly he's told he has a roommate. Again, problematic because he showed up the day before classes start. Wouldn't he have been told he had a roommate beforehand? So many things that just never would have happened in real life with a school like this. So he goes to his new room, and it turns out that his roommate is the one person at the boys' school that he potentially knows because they attended a summer program at the school 2 years ago when Charlie hadn't transitioned yet. So this person, Jasper, knew Charlie pre-transition, and Charlie thinks, oh my gosh, Jasper is going to know who I am. He's going to reveal that I'm trans, and the school officially doesn't have a policy on trans kids. Again, problems with this school, and he's gonna out me. Oh wait, Jasper also was the person Charlie had a crush on, and they shared Charlie's first kiss, and then Charlie found out that Jasper had been writing love letters to several girls in their program, just destroying Charlie's heart. So this roommate situation is very fraught with tension and angst, and let me put it out there, Jasper's weird. Like, there are weird people, and then there are weird people. Jasper is weird with a capital W. He's not quirky, it's not cute. He is odd and completely unsocialized. It's unbelievable to me how bad he is at just being a real human. So the tension between Charlie and Jasper is very high because Jasper's weird as fuck and trying to become friends with Charlie, and Charlie is trying to avoid Jasper to no end. There are other things that happen in the plot. Charlie is voluntold by the principal of the school, who also happens to be Jasper's aunt, problems, that he should join this student tutoring group. Charlie was a tutor. That's part of how he paid for so many things and is paying for this program. And he gets there and it turns out they're not actually tutors. They write love letters and deliver them to the girls' school because it doesn't matter the mechanics of it, but they write love letters. And then Charlie actually starts a tutoring program and makes friends because he's a great tutor and makes friends through the group at large. One of the things that I really loved about this book was the found family that develops amongst Charlie and his peers, where Charlie learns to accept himself and trust that others will accept him as he is. It's a really fucking cute story. And because it isn't out yet, at the time that I'm recording this, I can't share any of my quotes with you, but I will share the notes. In terms of the romance, Charlie and Jasper, or Charlie's drawn to Jasper, and Jasper seems to be drawn to Charlie. We're not sure. And so there's a lot of tension with that because Charlie has so many feelings about Jasper from before, from his new identity, all of these things, that the romantic tension between them really adds something to the dynamic. It adds a lot of yummy gooey drama. So what are the notes that I wrote to myself? I have an aw plot point. Charlie, once he discovers that Jasper is his roommate, aims to erase any of his history pre-transition, including tearing up a photo of him and his best friend. And I just went, oh no, don't do that. Hide it better. Don't destroy things. Hide it better. Jasper's a weirdo and everybody hates him is my guess. Oh, another one. Jasper's a nutter. When I tell you that Jasper is weird, I really mean it. He makes some really beautiful friends. Xavier might be my favorite friend that he makes. But that was it. If you are someone who loves queer YA books, or you're looking for books that really focus on trans humans, this one is going to be a fun one for you. The next book I read is Helping Hands by Jane Northcote. I got this book from the Trans Rights Readathon master document, and I'm not sure why it's on the master document. I don't know anything about Jane Northcote. I don't know if they are trans. I don't know why. But I typically trust that if the Trans Rights Readathon organizers have a book on their master doc, it's there for a good reason. I was specifically looking for books for Trans Rights Readathon because I had books like And They Were Roommates and things of that nature. I really was looking for books with sexual content. So I put into the search bar sexual content, and that's how I picked some of these books. Don't judge me. We listen and we don't judge. This story is a roommates to lovers forced proximity by awakening story. It is mostly spice, and it's an odd progression. So Mac and Jaz are roommates. They live in a house with quite a few other people, and at the end of the previous semester of university, both of them got into trouble for various reasons. Mac because he was failing some of his courses or close to failing, and Jaz because he overdrew his bank account. Jaz's parents got real mad at him and insisted on him working over the summer, paying back the money. So both of them have made the decision, because of these circumstances, not to party as hard. Jaz so he doesn't spend money, Mac so he actually sits and studies, which means at the beginning of the story, they are the only people in their house who are in on a Friday night, and they start watching movies together and they start hanging out more because they're actually in the same program. So Jaz can help Mac study, and Mac and Jaz can, not spend money by staying in. And one night they're watching a movie and it gets to a steamy part, and I truly do not know if this is a boy thing, because the excuse Jaz, who is our point of view character, gives is that this is something he used to do at boarding school. Cool, dude. They decide to not masturbate to the movie, but watch porn together and jerk off in the same room, which inherently isn't necessarily queer. It has nothing to do with it, but definitely was queer in this story. And so that's what they start doing. They start getting together at night alone in someone's bedroom, and they watch porn and they jerk themselves off, and then it progresses into jerking each other off and fooling around, and nobody's gonna say anything, and they're just yeah, it's really honestly just as odd as it sounds to me. I'm not saying that progression isn't possible or logical. It's a little illogical. But that's essentially what happens. It turns into this hookup situation where both of them develop feelings separately. We only get Jez's point of view, so it's not even like we're in Mac's head figuring out what's going on. Neither one of them are admitting that they're queer in any way. Neither one of them are admitting that they want more to this relationship, and Jez seems to be the one who continues to push forward, who's the first to suggest that they take it upstairs and watch porn on a computer. He's the first person to initiate touching the other. It evolves, and only when they start to they go to a birthday party, and they're out, do they realize that they have feelings for each other, that they feel entitled to the other person, and that they have that connection. And then there is the coming out at the end and them dating officially. It's very sweet at the end. It's very short, but it's just such an odd situation to be in. Here's why I'm like, dude, it came out in 2015, so it's a 10-year-old little novella. His head was full of images of Mac getting his dick sucked, and Jez wasn't quite sure why the idea of that was doing it for him. It never had before. Even though Jez had had a few sexual experiences with other boys at boarding school, he always considered himself straight because he definitely liked girls. And I gotta tell you, in 2015, bisexuality was still very much a thing. So this was so heteronormative, it really threw me. I'll suck you off if you want. I don't know if I like this quote or not when they're talking about what they are, sexuality, things of that nature. Labels can be restrictive. Sometimes you need to stop thinking about gender and sexuality and focus on the person. If you care about them, if you feel good when you're with them, if you're hot for them, then what does any of the rest of it matter? And on the one hand, I do agree labels don't necessarily mean everything, but I think in that moment, being able to admit in some way, shape, or form of your attraction, if you still called yourself straight, I'd have a problem with that. If you're saying I'm not doing any labels on my sexuality, that I can get behind. So it was odd, but if you like a bi awakening, something fairly spicy and short, this one fits the bill. Book number 3 was The Spare by Ava Rani. I read a physical book. I know I'm really working on the physical books, friends. This is book number 1 in the Biotech Billionaire series. Ava Rani is a new author. This is her debut novel, her debut series. All 3 are, the 3rd one comes out in May. This book is about Sloane and Marcus. Sloane is best friends with Marcus's brother, Xander. Marcus is best friends with Sloane's brother, Henry. And Sloane has had a crush on Marcus for at least a decade because that's how long they've known each other. Marcus built his own company and left. He's been abroad for 2 years, and the trio he left behind, the 4 of them really were a cohort, but the trio he left behind has really been feeling his absence and has a lot of hurt feelings about the situation, about Marcus being gone. He comes back for a gala, runs into Sloane, and there's so much chemistry. Sloane has been pining for him for years. It turns out Marcus has been pining for her for years. They start to repair this friendship that they had, and Marcus is still in London, but he's closing up that office, or he's planning to move back to New York. Sloane is a lawyer, and her office sends her to London for 6 months to work on a project, and while the 2 of them are in London essentially by themselves, they are not with Henry or Xander, the brothers that they left behind and friends. Their romantic feelings come to a head and come to the surface, and they start to explore that. This is a billionaire novel. It is like straight up billionaire. Ava is Indian American, and she's made Henry and Sloane Indian American as well. And so you get this representation. And in fact, Sloane has a really great quote, I'll share it with you later, about the struggle she's had with her identity, especially in the upper echelon of society. Her mother is English, she was part of nobility, and was disowned by her family when she chose to marry Sloane's father. So she's got a lot of baggage around rich white people, which I don't blame you, rich white people can be terrible. So that makes a lot of sense. Xander is probably my favorite character, I will say. I like Sloane, I like Marcus, but Xander, Marcus's brother and Sloane's best friend, chef's kiss. His relationship with Sloane is top-notch. They are ride or die best friends. They have a history. They support each other. They love each other. They laugh with each other. And when Xander finds out that Marcus and Sloane have gotten together, he is 100% okay with it. He fully supports them, makes a few jokes, and is ready to be there for this new step in their relationship. Henry, Sloane's brother, she's got a different relationship with him. They've essentially been competing for this job that Sloane was never really considered for. They have their own family business, their own family legacy, and while Sloane is an incredibly capable, smart, brilliant woman, she's never been treated as an equal to Henry. She's never been considered worthy to take over the family business. She doesn't really want it, but she wants to be in the running. She wants to be given the respect that Henry has. She wants to at least be considered and acknowledged for everything that she's accomplished and everything that she's capable of. In terms of, is this groundbreaking? In a lot of ways, no. It's a billionaire romance, and it follows a lot of the tropes of billionaire romance. There's money being spent, there are big gestures, there are private planes, a lot of labels. It's not bad. It follows that predictable cadence of events. Things that I did enjoy is the way Marcus spends money on Sloane. And Marcus and Xander didn't grow up with money. They grew up middle class. So the money to them is very new, as opposed to Sloane and Henry, who've grown up in the upper echelon of society, who've had money their whole lives. Marcus is very intentional. And it's not, I'm going to fill the room with flowers. It's not, I'm going to fly you to Paris. It's, I'm going to find a copy of the first edition of your favorite book. I'm terrified of cars, but I'm going to buy out an F1 track and give you your dream day riding in a race car. Not myself. I'm going to have a professional do it and take care of you. So it's those little gestures of when they're spending money on their partner, making sure that it's intentional, it's personal, and it means something to them. Quotes. Again, Xander's my favorite. Xander and Sloane have a prank war, and literally opens with, we had 3 rules. No bodily harm, no ruined reputations, and no foreign interference. I abided by all 3. And then I have nothing highlighted. Not because it's bad. There's nothing wrong with any of this. I think for me, none of it jumped out as, oh, I love that quote. I love this moment. This is exciting. Noted things like his nickname for Marcus's nickname for her is counselor. I like that he calls her counselor. He really respects her and what she does and what she's accomplished. So Sloane and Xander are best friends, and as often with a boy-girl best friendship, people assume at some point you're going to have sex. And so she and Marcus are talking, and she does tell him that at one point she and Xander thought about, well, if everybody says we should have sex, maybe we should. And Marcus is dying. He is dying inside. He cannot, he will not. Do I have to hear this? Oh, I physically flinched at the words. Don't worry, it gets better. A knowing smile swept across her face. We got as far as a prolonged, very awkward peck on the lips. Anyway, we bagged the idea. We are not attracted to each other, and that is why we aren't together, and never will be. I like that she, number one, did that with Xander. It's a great story, and it's a question that a lot of people asked in this book, and a lot of people ask of those kind of relationships in general, and she answered it really honestly. This is where I start to like things. Oh, they have a really fun text exchange. Marcus, her voice was heavy with sleep. Her eyes opened to meet mine. I was frozen in place. She let out a deep, tired exhale. Are you chasing me? I don't even remember why she's asleep. Oh, they're doing a movie night because they're friends. I swallowed hard. Technically, no. I was supposed to be figuring out how to be her friend, but every muscle wanted to crawl into bed with her. Am I allowed to? She nodded and smiled, her eyes closed again. I'm not running, just waiting to be caught. She turned over and drifted back to sleep. Oh, I love it. So cute. And then the text exchange. Sloane, you owe me dinner. Me, I do. Saturday, my place. Sloane, I'll bring the wine. Me, I'm cutting you off after 2 glasses. Sloane, I thought I was the perfect lady. Me, that's what I'm trying to avoid. And my note is good flirt. That's some good flirt. And once they start, they go hard. There are no questions about, are they together? Does the other person like me? Once they open the can of worms, it's open. They're fine with that. The worms are everywhere, and that's exactly what they wanted. Oh my God, this is such a great line. Okay, so they're all going out. Xander and Henry showed up when Sloane and Marcus were about to have their first secret date. But so they're all supposed to go out. Marcus and Sloane are going to pick up Henry and Xander. This is from Marcus's perspective. My lips brush over hers. Was this dress for me? She shook her head. No, but what's underneath is. Here's my note. It's over 50%, so it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. If that annoys you. It's a really fast read. There's no hiding the relationship from Xander. Told him everything from the start. Of course I'm fine with it. Xander is seriously my favorite character in this whole book. Sorry, Sloane. Sorry, Marcus. Xander has my heart. You've been pining for me? He nodded. Something like that. And then a little bit later. Maybe you're not the only one who's been pining. So there's that admission of mutual pining, which I think sets them up for success. This is once he started pursuing her. He took her on a private plane to go F1 driving. She doesn't know that yet, but what if I didn't come with you? I'd try tomorrow. His voice was heartbreakingly vulnerable. And every day after, stupidly. It's cute. It's just cute. It's cute. Oh my God, there's a lot of clit stimulation. Just funny quips. Xander, so there is a third act breakup. I warned you, I'm spoiling things. And Xander shows up at her house and says, I was half expecting bangs. Which I approve, sir. That's a good, you should expect that. Oh, fuck off. So cute. Marcus, when he's groveling, you make me whole again. You keep me together. You make me want to feel everything. You are my entire future, the only thing that matters. Let me prove it to you. Part of her issue is she Indian? Is she white? Is she English? Is she nobility? Is she common? All of the things. And she really struggles with that. There's a moment where she says, shares that her given name wasn't Sloane. Sloane was originally her middle name. And she asked her parents to switch it because her given first name was too Indian and people kept mispronouncing it and she wanted to fit in. So she insisted that her parents rename her Sloane and go by Sloane. And she's always kind of regretted it. But so after that confession of his, he says, I will say this completely wrong, but I'm looking at English letters, so sorry. Main Karunga, which apparently in Hindi means I will. So the next page, he says, I want you to feel seen completely. I never want you to feel like you have to hide any part of yourself. I'm going to memorize every single piece of you. The parts that I don't understand, I'll figure out. And now, if you can't describe it in English or French, we have Hindi too. So he learned Hindi for her, which is too fucking cute. So this is the first of her books. There are 3, as I said, in this series. They are solid billionaire romances, if that is your preference. So if you're not a billionaire romance person, you might not care for this regardless. If you are a billionaire romance person, I recommend that you give this a shot. Book number 4 is Gunmetal Magic, which is novella in the world of Kate Daniels. So like I've mentioned, I am going through the list on Alona Andrews' website on how to read these. And in the world of Kate Daniels, there are these novellas that bring in other characters. This is the second Andrea Raphael novella. Andrea, who is Kate Daniels' best friend, has a really tough relationship with her beast side. She was abused as a child. She has a very interesting and very sad lineage. She's incredibly reluctant, now that she has been outed as a shifter, to join the shifter clan, specifically the Buddha clan, the War Hyena clan, which is the type of shifter she is. Previously, she and Raphael, he's the son of the leader of the Buddha clan, so the head guy, since Buddhas are typically run by females, they got together. He pursued her really hard for 6 months, and they ended up getting together, and it was wonderful and beautiful and incredible. And then she got grievously injured in a book and was outed as a shifter. Her body was healing too fast, and she disappeared. And Raphael feels so betrayed by this, so betrayed by her disappearance. Kate didn't hear from her, Raphael didn't hear from her, and then she shows back up. And it turns out that what had happened is she had been taken. She had been working for this organization called the Order. She was hiding her identity as a shifter from them. They don't let shifters into their ranks. And she was ousted. She went back to their headquarters. There was a trial. She tried to advocate for herself, for other people who were secretly shifters or who had magic, and she was dismissed. She was given a pension or a severance and said, see you later, bye. You can't work for us anymore. You are completely ousted from this organization as a whole, which was her whole identity. And now she's left outed to the community as a shifter, as a Buddha, and she's lost everything that had tethered her beforehand. So she's in a rough fucking spot. She and Kate have decided to work together at Kate's private detective agency, Private Eye Investigative Services. She and Raphael haven't spoken. He considered her leaving as a betrayal. She had 10 minutes to pack once she was released from the hospital before leaving to go to this trial. And then when she came back, she felt like he didn't wait for her. So there is a lot of hurt feelings. They are butthurt. They are both so hurt. And this story is a story of hurt people, because they are not kind, and it's messy. If you like messy, this is so messy. It's also so spiceless. This is the thing about Ilona Andrews. I think that Ilona Andrews is going to remain a very lightly spiced writer, and I don't know how I feel about it because I really like the world. Anyway, Raphael owns a bunch of businesses, and one of his businesses is a reclamation. They take scraps from destroyed buildings and they find the junk, the metal, the things that can be salvaged. A salvage company, there we go. And a bunch of his workers have been murdered. They are all shifters, so what can murder a shifter? They're really hard to kill. They need to figure that out. And Jim, the head of security for the pack, for the group of shifters, hires Andrea to help with this, to get to the bottom of who killed all of Raphael's employees, or not all, but a bunch of Raphael's employees, which also puts Raphael and Andrea into forced proximity, into close quarters, to have to work together to make this happen. Raphael shows up with a girlfriend to talk to her. She's a bimbo. It's ridiculous. All sorts of power struggles are happening about the Buddhas. Raphael's mom sends Buddhas to talk to her, and Andrea kicks their ass. There's all this pack drama in the wings. And then there's the Andrea Raphael drama of, do they love each other? Can they overcome this? What do they want? How do they get over or move past everything that happened to be able to work together on this case? And even, are they going to find their way back to each other? So my note for this is murders with snake people. I'm far enough into the Ilona Andrews, Kate Daniels series that in my notes I have to put high-level plot stuff because each one, there's just so many adventures that can happen. Because of Andrea's mixed lineage, her shifter form, her kind of half form, not human, not hyena, but the in-between form, looks different than other shifters. And her particular shifter looks more like a human body with fur over it. So she's got human-looking boobs, and they joke about that a lot in this novella, that she, as she's learning to accept herself and her body as a shifter, she moves through the world in this kind of half phase, and so many people comment on her boobs. treasure the memory is something she says to someone. But I still know they're there. I saw them. There's a side character that Andrea and Kate are mentoring, this young Buddha teenage male, because he's a problem. He's a special snowflake. And one of the things I do like this is he was flirting with someone and then they said no and he stopped. And she goes, "Giving up?" I asked. "She isn't interested," he said. Cute, but not interested. That was one thing I could honestly say about the Atlanta Buddhas. The men always stood the difference between no and maybe. And it's a really important distinction to make. And even this kid goes, there's a difference between, she said, "No, I'm done. I'm not gonna flirt anymore. I'm a great flirt, but I'm not gonna flirt with you if you are truly not interested in me." And it's really important. I like examples of that because it reminds us as women that no should be enough. Andrea kissing Raphael. It felt like coming home. It felt like medicine soothing a raw wound. I loved him so much, and I kissed him, drinking in the cocktail of sweet memories and bitter future. There's also some great sass. When I went off the rails, I didn't do it halfway. No, I flipped a few times, caught a lot of air, and then exploded in a fiery crash. There's so many weird cultural touchstones too. Roman is a Russian witch Volv. I can't pronounce it correctly. "You will not pass," Roman thundered. Great. Now he had decided he was Gandalf. I pushed away from the building. Roman opened his mouth to say something and didn't close it. "What is it?" "Breasts." "Oh, for the love of God." I told you. Her boobs are a thing in this book about her and Raphael's relationship. Are you implying that our relationship is like a Spanish soap opera? I'm not implying. I'm saying it. Okay, the last thing I have is they're just funny. Like once they get together. "Come on." "No, I have to go. It won't take long." Who would that be fun for exactly? Your seducing techniques need work. So in the end, they do get together. Kennedy Ryan says she has unskippable sex scenes. Kate Daniels has unskippable action. They are on an adventure together. They are trying to find the big bad, the creatures who killed his people. What do they want? What are they after? Who are they going to hurt next? How can they protect themselves and the world? Are they going to throw themselves into danger or not? And along the way, the relationships build, and it always unlocks something deep inside these people that help the relationship or the greater story press along. Now, in this book, and I think they're separate now, but in Gunmetal Magic, the book, it also has another novella, Magic Gifts, which is what I'm going to talk about next, which is a small novella about Kate. In the bigger story of Gunmetal Magic, Kate and Curran, the two main characters of the Kate Daniels series at large, aren't there. They're busy. Magic Gifts is the story of what they were doing. So in this story, Kate and Curran are at a restaurant. A woman dies. She's given a necklace. She puts it on and it kills her. Her parents show up with her little brother, the woman who died's little brother, and the mom puts the necklace on the little boy. Terrible mom. Kate and Curran, realizing that this necklace can kill you when you're wearing it, are then on a quest to save the little boy from whatever magic is in this necklace. And so they have to figure out who was the woman who died, who was the mom, the dad, who are they related to, who made the necklace. They have to go sleuthing through all the people, through their contacts on various cultures and magics and things. They're trying to protect this little boy, keep him under observation so that the necklace doesn't choke him like it choked his older sister. And they have to figure out how the fuck to protect this kid and what are they going to do so that everyone moves forward at the end of it. Obviously, their date was ruined. But overall, these little novellas are fun. Kate and Curran are a really good couple. They're so incredibly stubborn, and you can watch them, fight against the other when they feel like they're in the right. Oh no, maybe the come on, no, have to go is from Magic Gifts. I should have noted. Well, I should have noted that. I have no idea. Shit, that's the problem. They are separate. You can find Magic Gifts as its own now, is my understanding. But it happened to be also in Gunmetal Magic as the explanation for where Kate and Curran were. So I read it in that book, and I apparently didn't highlight when it became magic gifts. I'm sorry, I might have misattributed a quote. They were still Alona Andrews, I promise. It just might have been Gunmetal Magic, or it might have been Magic Gifts. Oops. The last book I read was A Gentleman's Gentleman by T.J. Alexander, back to Trans Rights Readathon. This is a historical romance that came out in March of 2025, so it's already out. You can get your hands on it. I know, I have it. And it is about a man of unusual make, Christopher, who has been living his eccentric life at his country estate with a staff of 2 so that he can keep his secret of his unusual make to himself. He is then told by his solicitors that according to his dad's will, he needs to be married by the age of 25 or he loses everything. And he goes, well, that's in a few months. I guess I better go find a wife. And says, hey, lawyer people or solicitors, can you send me a valet because I'm going to need a valet when I go to town to find me a wife. And they send James, who is apparently the most beautiful person ever, and Christopher is obsessed, and James is very dark, very dour, very by the book, respectable rules. And Christopher is not. He's very eccentric, he wears light colors, he does his own thing, clearly he dresses himself, so their relationship is a little bit contentious from the start. Christopher is trying to keep his secret from James. James is just trying to do his job, man, just trying to do his job. And they get to town and James is entrusted with this secret, with this intention to find a wife, and offers to help. James introduces Christopher to a woman James knows. Christopher accuses James of trying to sleep with, which is not the case. And it turns out that this woman James knows is in love with Christopher's friend, but her dad has forbidden them from getting married, this woman and Christopher's friend. And so Christopher and James enact a plot to help them escape to Gretna Green and elope, which is great. Now, this woman is under lock and key. She's watched all the time because her older sister ran away, and everybody assumed it was to Gretna Green to get married, but nobody heard from her again. And so they actually assume the worst. They assume foul play. And so this woman is under a very tight microscope. Her father watches her endlessly in order to protect her, which is why it's so great when Christopher and James help them escape and get married and, live their happily ever after. And Christopher's then screwed. What is he going to do? He needs to find a woman who understands, I will never love you, I will never give you children, and I don't even really want to have sex with you. So that's cool. Thanks. I actually really don't want to ruin stuff for this book. Shit, I don't want to ruin things in this book because there are moments in this book that just make me want to cry. So the 2 staff members that Christopher has at his estate, one of them is the butler who's been there forever and one is a cook. And the butler becomes incredibly ill and Christopher races back home and talks with him on his deathbed. I cry every time I think about this. And the butler takes his hand and says, I've protected you as best as I can. And Christopher's taken aback. What? And the butler says, you always lift the sugar off of your morning buns, which reveals that the butler has known who he is all along. So that this is the thing I'll spoil for you, because if you were like me, you were like, I need to know how Christopher is living his life as a man of unusual make. Christopher was born with a twin brother, and they had been living in Philadelphia with their parents. Their parents died, and on their ship ride back to England, they were in a shipwreck, and Christopher's brother drowned. And so Christopher assumed his brother's identity and has been living as his brother. He was not born Christopher. He is a man of unusual make. He is a trans man. We never learned his dead name. If we did, I don't want to know it. I don't want to remember it. But he has been living as Christopher. It's just like, it's so heavy. It's like such a beautiful, like heavy moment to realize that this secret he's been keeping someone knew and someone cared for him. I found the ending that TJ Alexander gave us for this book incredible. It was not what I expected. I was expecting something different, but this felt real and it felt honest, and I feel so satisfied by it. And that part just gets me every single time about the butler. Just like, seriously, TJ Alexander, they did an amazing job with this. Quotes and things. So the only point of view we get is Christopher's, and it's just very funny. Harding is James's last name. He was even more handsome up close. The bastard. There was a little beauty mark near the corner of his right eye, just above the crest of one perfect cheekbone. The absolute gall. James is very attractive, according to Christopher. It's very funny. He's just so silly. Christopher and James are trying to come to an understanding of how they're going to work together. So James says, the relationship between a man and his valet should be based on trust and mutual understanding. I don't know why that hit me as really funny when I was reading it. This is Christopher's fear spiral. Christopher thought it likely that he would not only have his title and land stripped from him if anyone found out about his unusual make, but he would doubtlessly be sent to some madhouse and forced back into womanly trappings. And my note is, oh, valid fear. Oh my God, this was so funny. So the valet, James's room is right next to Christopher's. Duh, valet. And Christopher's losing it because, oh my gosh, they're sharing a door. He prayed that sound did not carry. If Harding could hear him, that would be unfortunate. Not only because Christopher was often the victim of terrible dreams, but because he was a man, much like any other, and indulged, as many men did, in that shocking practice of self-gratification. He didn't think he was very loud when he brought himself off, but he couldn't say with absolute certainty that he was completely silent. He wondered idly which would be the lesser embarrassment of the two, frightful visions or onanism, should Harding indeed overhear him. It was an impossible decision. They were equally mortifying, albeit for different reasons. I love it. He's like, well, you're right there, and it's terrifying because I have horrible nightmares and wake up screaming, and I also get myself off. And I don't want you to hear that either. So James says you should try and marry this woman. She needs to get married, blah, blah, blah. Christopher catches James sneaking out and talking with this woman, whose name I can't fucking remember. B. Her name is B. And is scandalized. Oh my gosh. A red haze descended over Christopher's field of vision. The fact that his manservant was secretly meeting with a young woman filled him with the hot sort of rage he normally only felt when reading a poor translation of the Iliad. Here it is. I protected you as long as I could, the best way I knew how. His own eyes became wet. I never told another soul, I swear to you, but you have got to promise me you'll keep yourself safe. You always look the sugar off the top of the morning buns. Your brother never did that. And his name was Plinkton. No wonder I didn't remember his name. His name was Plinkton. But yeah, weeping at that part. Okay, so let me share that he does confess to James his history. And this is the only thing I'm going to say. So he's confessing to James, but he's not looking at James. He's staring at the wall, which you will learn in a second. He kept staring at the wall, grateful for its placid demeanor. It seemed to be taking the news well, at least. Which, I can walk at the wall. The wall didn't fall down, so I guess it could be worse. It's not gonna yell at me. I can't see the wall's disgust in me. The slowest of burns. Let me just show you when the slowest of burns ends. Here. Here is where the slowest of burns ends. So if you do not like a slow burn, maybe don't read this, because it is the slowest of burns. And that is what I read the week of March 24th through March 30th. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments. If you think you know a book that I would really like, put it in the comments. Like and subscribe so you can get notified when the next of these videos comes out. And until next time, this is Jace, holding space for you.